Hey everyone, my name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at some choosing beggar stories, so sit back, relax and enjoy. My Sister the Choosing Beggar. So this story happened last week when my parents had their 25th wedding anniversary. I was sitting with some family members, talking about sports, cars and our jobs, and in comes the choosing beggar, my sister. She immediately starts complaining to everyone that she needs a new phone because hers died, and they are too expensive. I tell her that I still have an unused Samsung Galaxy A5 at home that I won in a raffle last year. My sister looks at me disgusted and tells me I should take the A5 myself and give her my Samsung Galaxy S10 I got with my phone contract. I get a new phone each year if I pay a little bit extra for some newer models, which I don't mind doing. I told her I wasn't going to do it because I'm not the one needing a newer phone, she is, and if she wants a new model, she should buy one herself or be happy with the free one I'm willing to give her. She walks away in a fit and starts complaining to my parents. For your information, my dad always takes her side, no matter what the problem is. My dad tried to convince her to just accept the A5, and he will buy her an S10 when he has some money. My mum is partially handicapped after a brain aneurysm, and my dad takes care of her full time, so they have to make do with as little money each month. I got mad and told my sister to get a proper job for 30 plus hours a week, instead of just the one she has now for 8 hours a week. And I even offered her a job at my place, and she just started yelling and walked away. Haven't spoken to her since, neither have my parents, and apparently it's my fault. And then OP put that she was 24 in the comments, and 24, you need to get yourself together, I think. Break me off a chunk of the Great Wall. Back in high school, my best friend was in special ed. Honestly, he didn't have a learning disability or anything, he just had a big personality and teachers didn't know how to deal with it. But I digress. Every day at lunch, I would sit at a table with him and his entire special ed class. There was this one kid that sat with us, let's call him Roy. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Roy could be pretty annoying by making awful jokes and writing even worse meta lyrics, but overall he was a nice kid. Occasionally, I would go over to his house and met his parents. Let's call them Mama and Mr. Mullet. Mama Mullet would nag everyone all the time about everything, while Mr. Mullet would smoke weed and admire his rock collection. Yes, he collected rocks and geodes and even claimed to own a piece of the moon. Okay, enough context. After I graduated, I took my first trip abroad to China. I've always been interested in that region and was super excited to learn more about the history and to climb the Great Wall. Roy and his parents knew this, and for months they would pester me about bringing them back a piece of this architectural wonder. In every conversation, they would beg me and tell me how happy they would be if they could add it to their collection. Never mind that it is one of the wonders of the world, or located within an increasingly totalitarian police state, I had to break off a chunk of the wall and smuggle it back to the States. Yeah, okay. The day finally came. It was nearly 100 degrees Fahrenheit and humid as heck. I set off, step by step, scaling uneven ground and a mob of tourists. Despite my burning legs and the bubbling puddle of sweat I became, I ventured onward, feeling increasingly elated as I climbed up the barrier that had repelled barbaric nomads centuries before. And then I heard Mama Mullet's voice in my head. Just break us off a little piece. Knowing how happy it would make them and Roy, I scoured the ground for something, anything, and discovered a tiny pebble lying loose in a guard tower. Victory! I tucked it away in my pocket, anxious that Chinese border patrol would interrogate me and I'd have to call my parents from a dimly lit, pea-soaked cell before my organs were harvested. Luckily, my worst fears were never realized. I flew back home and proudly presented the mighty morsel to Mama and Mr. Mullet. I basked in glory of the anticipated happiness. But no, they were disappointed and ticked. We wanted a big chunk of the Great Wall. This is a tiny pebble. It could be from anywhere. How do we know you're not lying? Ugh, why couldn't you just bring back something bigger? After we waited all this time, this is all you brought back? How could you be so stupid? Needless to say, I left with my own dang pebble and happily never spoke to any of them again. Hey, well, they did more than I would do. I would just go outside to my wall, get a chunk off there and go, this is from the Great Wall of China, look. Free dinner also wants cash. I promised a friend named Rosemary that I will treat her to dinner at a local pizza joint. Unfortunately, when I was about to go to the restaurant, I came across with another friend who is a definition of a choosing beggar named Mike. For reference, Mike wants us to treat him for dinners and snacks and doesn't contribute. He was just fired from his job recently because of tampering. So at the moment, he was penniless and was very happy when we ran into each other. At that time, I just got paid for a big commission, so I invited Rosemary for dinner and watch a movie afterward. Rosemary and Mike used to be co-workers, so I mentioned it to him, and since I am mostly a generous person, so I invited him to dinner to share it with us. He said he's on an errand and that will come back after he's finished. So I went to the restaurant and order. Rosemary was running late but will arrive at the time our food will be served. I did not inform her that Mike will be there because I thought it was fine and the food was just going to be plentiful for the three of us. When the food arrived, so did Rosemary and Mike. Mike said that the food was lacking and ordered additional food. It was okay on my part because maybe he needs more. After we tell him that we are going to watch a movie after dinner, he told us that he can't come with, which was okay because he was not really included in the plan anyway. So after dinner, we were heading out. Mike asked if his share in the movies can be converted to cash. By this time, I am getting angry. No thank you and wants cash. He jokingly said that he needs the cash since I'm treating Rosemary and it was his share. I just shut up and say nothing anymore because I might not control myself and say something mean to him. Then Rosemary said that it's late and we need to go. Mike said maybe another time and then went away with not so much of a thank you. I did not enjoy much of the movie because I was fuming. Needless to say, we are not friends anymore. Lesson learned, never ever be friends with freeloaders. I was wondering what they were tampering with, but it was his daily time record, and apparently that was his second time in less than a month. Switch Lite is not good enough. I have a niece and nephew going to be 14 and 8 respectively. My niece is also my goddaughter. Their birthdays are in December and January. At Thanksgiving, I asked my niece what she wanted for her birthday. I also tried to get her either something that she really wants or something that I think she would love. For example, for her 10th, I built her a gaming PC. For her 11th, I upgraded a graphics card and got her a second monitor. For her 12th, I got her a year subscription of Loot Crate and Google Home Mini with Chromecast and access to my Netflix account. For 13th, I got her a $550 laptop, and this year she asked for a Nintendo Switch. I asked her what kind, but she said she doesn't care. For my nephew, I try to not spend as much since he is younger and he has his own godparents. But saying that I built him a gaming PC for his 7th birthday, using some of my old parts and bought some new, that was just as good as his sister's. I also did as part gift for my niece since he really annoys her over her PC. His mum treats him way better than her daughter, so I try to always have her back. Now to Choosy Beggar. I am guessing that my niece said something about me getting her a Switch for her birthday. Sister-in-law texts my mum that we have to get a Switch for the nephew or else they will be fighting. She specifically says the blue Switch Lite. My mum already got gifts for the kids. I still haven't. Well, technically I already got him an addressable RGB keyboard that he wanted, and was going to get him an Overwatch Bastion Lego set since he is really into Overwatch and loves Bastion. I am a bit ticked since I wasn't planning on getting 2 Switches this year, especially when one of them wasn't even for myself. But I said screw it, I'll get them both Switches. I bought the Switch Lite for my nephew that he wanted. Today, my mum gets another text with a link to a regular Switch that I must get my nephew since they have been fighting over not getting the exact same Switch. This just ticked me off to no end. How about teach your kids that it is okay not to have the exact same thing? How about teaching them to be grateful for what they get? Ultimately, I will probably get a Switch Lite for my niece, and then they will both have identical Switches. I am not cheap, but I hate nothing more than being exploited. I don't know how well off OP is, and he could be really well off or something, but it sounds like he's spending a bit too much on people. I don't know if that's just me, because then the kids might expect, more expensive gifts, like, you got me this last year, you have to one-up it this year. When a $500 Christmas bonus is not enough. This year, my hospital is giving every employee a $500 Christmas bonus for the first time ever. CN choosing nurse on the other nurse. I was in the break room eating lunch and a couple of nurses were at separate table talking about the $500 bonus we were getting. At the same time, one of our cleaning people were taking out the trash. As soon as they left, the choosing beggar nurse said, "What really makes me upset is that we don't get a larger bonus than, say, the cleaning people. We make more and went to college. I think we should be getting more. It doesn't make sense." Overhearing this, I couldn't let it go and said, "Well, I think it's a good thing. They probably had a set amount of money to give and just wanted everyone to be equal. Plus, they probably need the money more than we do. To them, it's a much bigger deal, and I for one are happy for them." Choosing beggar nurse whips her head around, but before she could say anything, the other nurse says, "Yeah, I agree. To them, it's probably a whole paycheck. It probably helps them out quite a bit, especially with Christmas coming up." Choosing beggar nurse does a complete 180 and says, yeah, it will probably make a difference to them. And then she promptly changed the subject. A $500 cash Christmas bonus to every employee? Like, that's insane, is it not? I've never heard of anything that huge. Why won't you give me a discount on this 50-cent item? So I work at an op shop. One of the most annoying types of people are the ones that come in, get a single item worth less than $5, and then ask for a discount on it. This is not something essential, but an ornament, game, toy, or decoration. I say no. Then they'll inevitably ask to see the manager. At that point, I say, I'm not going out the back to get a manager who will tell you the same thing over something that's worth less than $5. You are wasting my and her time. Prices are as marked. If you don't want to pay that price, feel free to shop elsewhere. Then, when they want to complain, I say, Here is a card with the corporate number on it. Feel free to give them a call and whine about the price of this item that costs less than $5, if you have nothing better to do with your time. The worst bit is that they actually then do complain. Fortunately, my manager is in my corner and has told me that I've saved her any amount of time dealing with this. Corporate isn't happy, but they never are. Wait, does that mean they're getting like a Christmas ornament for $4 and they're going, $4 is a bit steep, you reckon you could do $3.50? A short story about choosy beggars at Target. So I was at Target today, hanging out at the Starbucks. A lady and her daughter approached only to be told that the Starbucks was closed, but they were offering $5 gift cards for the inconvenience. They left to get the gift cards, then they came back wanting $10 on the gift card, which they got. Then they wanted $15 on the gift card. When they were told they couldn't, the daughter threw a fit, asking why he couldn't combine the gift cards to make it a higher amount. After a bit of arguing, he wrote something on some paper and sent them on their way. Funny enough, a guy went to the Starbucks and declined the gift card because he said it wasn't their fault and it's not a big deal. Hey, at least we've got that last guy working, otherwise, everything would just be a mess. Wow, those two videos right there look really good. I'm gonna have to click at least one of them, right guys? Click one of them, watch more videos.